island is a beautiful concept. It's a place where you go to do nothing so creativity can go through. So you go, you spend 1 week, you get creative with your projects by being away from the rest of the world. Now, my project this year is to interview those who have spent time on this island and find out what transformations happened within them and what happened after with these transformations. Not only that, I also dig into, and we will do this, we'll dig into what happened during the COVID season, during lockdowns. And instead of focusing on the negative, I want to focus on what positive transformations happened when we all had to take our island time.
Yeah. And that's why I created Ideas Island, so that people actually could take a week off and just feel how that is. Just pause and let the subconscious do its thing. Because best ideas come from the subconscious. The subconscious is a very quiet little voice, and you will not hear it unless you shut up.
The reason I'm on this trip was I got a message from Frederick.
Incoming email from Frederick Haran. This week's newsletter will be about Ideas Island.
The project for Ideas Island is you apply at ideasisland.com. If he chooses you, you get to come and stay on this island for free for 1 week. You cover your flight, you cover your food, you cover your transportation, but you get to stay for free to work on an idea. And the premise of this island is getting away to do nothing so that creativity can flow through.
A few years ago, I created Ideas Island as a way for creative people to stay on a private island for a week for free to work on a creative project. But last year, we had so many bad experiences with guests that I almost gave up on the project.
I heard that he was going to stop the project this year just because there was too much disrespect to the property, you know, bed sheets not being cleaned, food being left to waste in the fridge, you know, just, you know, not nice things.
Outgoing email from Chimes.
I sent him a message, I hit him up, I said, hey Frederick, I love this idea. I would love to come and document this island because it's given so much to me. It was the first place that I actually traveled to outside of the country when I started my music. And it was such a big deal in my music career and in my life. So I just felt it was very important for me to come back and document this place that was so pivotal in my life.
I'm sorry to hear these things happened at the island. These things are so frustrating. The island is such an incredible idea, and it was the very first experience I had when my life and career changed in 2018. It's a place and program I'll never forget, as I had never experienced such as that before, and it gave me a rush of inspiration and creativity that's lasted many years. I must be honest and say, if this would be the last year this idea would be in the works, I would love to pay homage by creating a documentary in honor of Ideas Island. It's a seed thought and an offering I'd like to make and give. If this piques your interest, please let me know, as I'm letting it ruminate in my mind right now. Take care, Frederick. I trust whatever path you choose will flourish with the mind that you have. Best, Chimes, filmmaker. Incoming email from Frederick Haran. Good to hear from you. I would love that. A documentary about it sounds lovely. You want to come this summer?
All right, and like that, I'm on my way. Thank you guys for the shows. Thank you guys for the love. Thank you for the breakfast. I'll see you on the flip side. Chimes signing out, about to hit up Ideas Island, Zurich, Sweden, and Paris. Come back with a music video, maybe a few tunes. See how it goes. I'm about to have my island time. Peace. All right, we rolling? Yes, we are. All right, cool. Well, welcome to my half birthday. All right, so we already kind of started watching this, but here we go. I'm gonna start. All right. Okay, so the first guy, his name is Bill Tramposh, and he is a writer. And I forget the company exactly he was writing for, but anyway, his whole thing was that he went to the island to have the space of mind, the quietness, so that he can write blogs for this American museum company around the subject of creative aging. And creative aging, he was charged to create blogs to further encourage the older population to keep creativity, to keep going to the museum, and to keep their curiosity and creativity alive. So by going to the museum, they're learning more, and life is more fulfilling.
I was edging up on retirement from a 40-year career managing and leading museums here in the US and abroad in New Zealand. And I was thinking of things I wanted to become engaged in. So I didn't want to work full-time. So I got a senior fellowship with the American Alliance of Museums. They're the major museum agency that lobbies for museums in the US. And they were looking for a senior fellow in the area of creative aging. In other words, how can we inspire and engage older populations in the museum experience? What I needed more than anything was time to reflect on a creative aging. And Ideas Island seemed like an excellent place to be perched for a week and write any number of blogs for the American Alliance of Museums website. There's a line in Thoreau's Walden where he said, when he's one of his first days after building his cabin in the woods, he mentions in his journals that, I spent the entire day sitting outside of my cabin, accomplishing absolutely nothing. And it was one of the most rewarding days of my life. We don't always have to be rushing around. If we wait a bit, like the author of The Fly Trap, if we wait a bit, riches come. Just need to be alone and silent and reflect. And I think it really works. Ideas Island is a wonderful little petri dish for that. One of the thoughts that became very clear to me in my time on Ideas Island and ever since is that this whole field of creative aging, which I was employed to write about and study and try to engage people in thinking about, I came down to the kind of lowest common denominator of what creative aging is. It can be fancy, it can be courses, it can be this and that. But basically, if you were to boil it down like you boil down maple sap to syrup, what you end up with is it's all about curiosity. And if we don't watch out, we lose the curiosity we have when we were children. We have to keep on nourishing that.
Well, Bill, thank you so much. I do really appreciate your time and your energy and your years of wisdom. I really appreciate that. In fact, I was speaking about years of wisdom. I was just talking to my friend yesterday saying, I'm in my 30s now. I look very young, I know, but I was just saying I'm beginning to really appreciate the wisdom in people who are older than me, because I have no idea what it's like to be in my 40s or in my 50s. But now that I'm in my 30s, I can look back or converse with someone who's 10 years old, and I can realize, I know you think you know a lot, and that's beautiful. I appreciate your confidence and all that. But I also know that there's a difference in knowing 30 years of experience. And, I begin to listen to people who are older than me in a whole different kind of way, So I just want to say that's your experience.
Well, that's really encouraging to hear, Sam, because I think the U.S. doesn't necessarily do the best job listening to older folks. They kind of get pushed out of the way. So it's very nice to hear you say that. And I like I said at the beginning before you started recording, I think I love watching your YouTubes, and I love watching what you do on the streets. You're a very, very talented guy.
Thank you. Appreciate
I
that.
hope you come are you coming to San Francisco sometime?
Well, hey, if there's an invite, I would love, people have told me, yeah, your music, you got to go to the States because Canada is like that younger brother that's like, okay, we know you're trying.
Okay, I'll be promoting you to my daughter.
Oh, thank you. Okay, next guy is Peter Sandberg, and he is a painter. He was in the corporate world before, and he explains that going to the island really inspired him to pick up a painting, and his whole thing is talking about how you're never too old to get into your creative life. You're never too old to change. You're never too old to transform. Whether it is for creativity or out of creativity, like as far as creative life, I mean, it's fluid, whatever you think, you're right. So he chose to become a painter. And I will be adding, but yeah, you'll be able to see his painting. I'll be showcasing some of that. And he's a master at his work, Peter Sandberg.
It's kind of like hard to sum up who I was or what I did before, but I've been working both as an entrepreneur and also intrapreneur, business developer in both large and small corporations, as well as having my own companies. So I guess sort of like I always had this drive to, create something. And but the big transformation for me has been afterwards, when sort of like I realized that, okay, I want to live a creative life. I want my life and every day to be about creating something. I like the phrase you're coining here, sort of like the island time. And that was certainly such an occasion. And I just want to say also that my 3 hours each evening, sort of like that has also been my island time that I created for myself. And I think it's within a lot of people blame that they don't do stuff. They blame it on, I don't have the time. But usually there's always time, even if it's just half an hour each day. If you write for half an hour each day, you will have a novel by the end of the year. But having said that, during COVID, I think I was, in a sense, really looking forward to, okay, I'll just lock myself in and I'll just, paint the whole day. But that fairly quickly became boring. And I thought sort of like, you could place me on a deserted island for a year and I wouldn't mind. But I was craving the social aspects of life much more than I thought myself. And it was really interesting after that whole period stopped and sort of like you go back to work, and my whole perspective on work changed. So now I feel like sort of like, okay, when I'm at home, I'm working and I go to work to play. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I go to work to meet other people and to create new ideas.
The scenario came to my mind. I think it was a story that was told. There was an artist who was painting, and the neighbor came and said, "Oh, you're working hard. Oh, good job." He said, "No, I'm playing." And then he was sitting down, just staring at the painting. The neighbor said, "Wow, you're really relaxing. You're playing, huh?" It's like, "No, I'm working." I think it's the same thing, right? Yeah, it's like a lot of things going on in the mind, and we're observing, absorbing. And that's really where the work is, where our being is just digesting all this creativity. And then when it's time to express, now we're playing. Just like with your paintings, it's taking you 50 years to maybe a little less, right? When you went to the island to get that realization. And then another 10 years, you figured out how to paint so well. And now you're coming to another realization of the creative writing. So there's lots of years of work. And then you take maybe 5 seconds, boom, you do this amazing painting. I'm sure you could do something amazing in 5 seconds now. But somebody will say, "Oh, you did that in 5 seconds, amazing." And then maybe you give it to them. That'll be $30,000 or francs or whatever. But just 5 seconds? It's like, no, it took you 50 years to make this painting in 5 seconds.
And I like what you say, sort of like being consistent with it and compound interest. That's so true. And turning it into, trying to turn it into a habit, then it also is easier, sort of like to stick to it, and the progress will come by itself. Really emphasize as well, maybe to people watching this, that it's never too late to start, because I started drawing and painting, or this course in the comics that I started with. It was the same year I turned 50. So, and I tell people sort of like it took me 50 years to come up with what I want to do for the next 50 years, and that's how I view it. Sort of like it's a long journey, but I'm in it for the long run, so to speak. And there's always, I mean, if you start, running marathons now at my age, you will, get better for the first couple of months or year maybe, but then will just be a slow decline until you die. But with painting, that's not the case. Sort of like there's this slow progress instead all the time. Nothing really captured my soul as much as art and painting. And I think if you feel the same about your music, good luck.
Yeah.
You're one of the few blessed ones.
Don't think you're ever too young. Just go at it. If you know you have an idea, just give it a shot. Just like a seed, it needs time to be watered. Maybe the idea isn't clear right off the bat, but then when you start, the door starts opening. Like you went to the island and then another door opened, right? You said you started painting. I had an earlier interview and the gentleman also said the same word, curiosity. Curiosity. And it seems like going to the island sparked a curiosity. And that's beautiful. Some people go to the island with an idea right off the bat. Well, the point of the island is you have an idea. But sometimes you have an idea and you go, but you're curious. And the island, its composition, something about getting away, it just further waters that curiosity. And the idea you started with can evolve. If
you have an idea, and usually, ideas is all about, creating something or being creative. And you also have to do a lot of exploration, and you're seldom sort of like, you're never sort of like spot on with a thing usually. You have to do a lot of searching before sort of like that idea has finally sort of like manifested itself into the ideal shape that it should have or take. And that can take a long while occasionally. I think a lot of people, they don't give themselves permission, or they don't take themselves seriously enough.
Yeah.
To actually, go through with their idea. And me for sure. I mean, if someone would have told me, even at that island, so like, well, Peter, you will be able to paint like this in 10 years' time, I would just laugh them off and say, well, there's no way, I wish I could, but that's never going to happen. But it did. And somewhere along the way, sort of like when you start sort of like realizing that, well, I don't only want to get good at this, but maybe I even can get good at this, Once you realize that, then you owe it to yourself to actually, this is just my personal viewpoint, but so you owe it to yourself to actually become good at it. You really should, give it a go, give it a shot, and treat it like with the professionalism that it deserves. The greatest motivational quote I ever read, it was on this website, Quora, where people pose questions, and the question was just that, sort of like, what is the most motivational quote you ever heard? And the most upvoted one was, it goes like this, or something like this. My greatest fear is that when I die and get to heaven, I get to meet the person I could have been.
Huh.
It's such a nice thing you're doing here, sort of like documenting and by that very process, basically promoting this unique concept of the idea islands. And Frederick, he's a unique guy. He thinks very differently from most other people, and he's also super curious and super creative. This whole thing with the idea islands is really worth spreading as much as possible. So thank you for doing this.
This is Tales from Ideas Island, a place where you go for 1 week to do nothing to get creative. And Tales from Ideas Island is about finding those transformations and to inspire you. What could you do when you take your island time away from the hustle and bustle of the world and find your creativity?
I made it into Sweden. Now I'm just picking up my car. Here with Hertz. Nobody's in the office, it's locked, so I'll be given a code. And yeah, I'm just pick up the car. So. Stuff's cool, man. Self-serve. Sheesh. Man, these things never come without some kind of struggle, huh? I'm having issues with this thing now. I need to get to the island. And yeah, it's not working. See how it sounds. I'm trying to figure it out, but let's see what happens. All right, got the key. Got help from a lovely security guy. It was really nice, actually. And this is the baby for a week. Nice electric car here. Yeah, it's looking nice. It's looking nice. Oh yeah. Woo! Yes, Lord. Yeah. And here we go. I'm gonna go to Ideas Island.
So next up is Marcy, and Marcy is from Afghanistan. She's a refugee actually from Afghanistan. She tells us her story, how she went from Afghanistan through Greece all the way into Sweden. And her whole thing is she went to Ideas Island so that, well, she was invited by a friend to Ideas Island. And when she went there, she found herself talking to herself again, becoming reacquainted with her child self. And she started writing a book. So she went to this island to further progress this book, having a quiet peace of mind and being in the right state of mind to get this book further developed. And this book is based on her own experience, and it's about having the perspective of a refugee. Speaking about being a refugee from the perspective of a refugee. It's a little different when you're a theorist or a scholar as opposed to someone who's actually being in the situation. So yeah, she comes with experience. So Ideas Island is a place where you go to get away, to let creativity flow, to work on an idea. You get to stay on this island for free for 1 week. So I'm about to go to this island. By the time you watch this, I would have gone and completed this project, but I'm documenting the transformations that happened to people who took that island time, that time away. And I'm also relating this actually to, well, what everyone's gone through in 2020, the COVID lockdowns, where everyone had to forcibly take their island time. So now instead of focusing on the negative transformations, I want to focus on the positive transformations.
Last year, a friend of mine who has been there before, she just wrote to me, like, do you want to experience a new experience and be in a place far from your place, and to start writing your book, because I was stuck in the process. And she asked me if I want to join her. So I didn't have any idea that such an island existed. So she told me, do you want to join? I'm there alone and we will spend time just working on our ideas. And just because I was free and, a private island sounds amazing. So I told her, sure, why not? I would love to. I came to Stockholm or to Sweden for about 8 years ago. And for me, having a normal life and then need to leave everything behind and come to a new country and taking this dangerous journey, that made me to another person. So just because I needed to go through this journey, when I came to Stockholm, I thought maybe people need to know more about it. And unfortunately, there are many different kind of judgments, outside about the people who are coming to a new country and why people are leaving. And for me, to hearing that and knowing that the people have not enough information and knowledge about what we need to go through to come to a new country, and it's different to be an immigrant than being a refugee. You have to leave everything behind in both cases. But when you're a refugee, you're forced to leave. It's not like you're choosing a new country and you want to come to Stockholm, Sweden, because, I have a job, I'm going to study. You're leaving everything behind and coming to a new country. And for me to go through that as 19-year-old, it was huge because it made me to another person. And I thought, okay, I know that people here in Stockholm, I hear people talking about refugee in a very negative way, and people have no idea. Or when I'm talking to very nice people, they want to know more about it. And I thought, maybe I can write about it more in details. And what was very important for me was that I was the person who is writing down. I'm not a journalist. I'm not as good as journalists, but what I am good at is my story. I have been there. I was there. I saw everything, and I can write it with my feelings from my point of view. I was in Greece, and for coming to Europe, the first country you go through is Greece. First is Turkey. If you're coming from Afghanistan, then Iran, Turkey, and then Greece. And when we were in Greece, I was with my family and my mom and my younger siblings. And there were many people from, as I told, different countries who were going to different countries to apply and seek for asylum. And I remember there were also people from Canada, there were people from Sweden, there were people from US, Spain, Germany, people who were there to help refugees who were there. And for me, this was the first time in my whole life that I'm seeing people are at the same place, under the same roof, the same sky, who are trying to help you and are not expecting anything in return. And it was so special that it is very difficult to explain with the words. But my feeling, I just cried because for the first time in my life, no one is judging me because of my background. No one is judging me because of the religion, from the country that I'm coming from, my economical situation, or how are my clothes, or anything like that. And these people are there just to help us. Because in Greece, in those first days, you have to register yourself. We were in an island called Lesbos. I don't know if you know that island. There are many different islands in Greece, but that was the island we arrived to. And we needed to register ourselves just because we need that paper and document to leave to Athens, and then from there to other countries in Europe. And I remember how nervous and stressed we were, just because, anything could happen. Angela Merkel could, because she was the person who let everyone to come to Europe. She told that, if people just arrive to Germany, they can apply and they can seek asylum. So we were very nervous. We knew that Greece, they didn't want us because they had already many other refugees. So we wanted to just get to the destination we wanted to get to, and Germany was one of them. We weren't sure, but we wanted to get there. And maybe after that, if Germany didn't want us, maybe we could try another country. So we were very stressed out, and we wanted to leave Greece as soon as possible. So when in those 3 days when we were in Lesbos, it rained. I can say cat and dogs. It rained a lot, and we were totally wet. And in that time, you didn't actually care about that you are wet because it rains so much. As soon as we just changed out and just change the clothes, take some new clothes, it was the same. So after some hours, we didn't care about having wet clothes on us. And as a human, sometimes you have to go through some stages in your life and some moments that you cannot even imagine that you have to go through. And for me, that moment was we had to stand in line for get the papers. And when we were standing in line, it rained so much, and we couldn't leave the line, because if you just left the line, you had to start once again. And it was thousands of people in front of you, behind you. And I remember I'm standing there. It wasn't just me and my brothers and my sisters. When we talk later, we just peed on ourselves, and just because you cannot leave the line and you cannot go someone else, you need to take these papers. And for me, if you told me some years ago that under rain you have to stand many hours without sleep and waiting for your papers, and you are so focused, you think about these papers so much that you are not brave enough even to break the line and go somewhere else and pee and come back. You pee on the same place. I would say you're crazy. I wouldn't do that. But sometimes we are so vulnerable, and the problems around us, how we survive, how we manage the situations. The first day, I remember I talked to my friend. We drank some coffee, and then we separated. So she just went to one part of Ireland, and I was in the other side. It's not that huge, but we found our places. And for me to just sit there, and I don't know what is it, but being close to water and the nature, somehow it just kickstarts something inside you. You are more excited, you want to start once again. And for me, being stuck for a long time, and now I really wanted to do something. So there was no pressure at all, but I felt like now being here, being focused, not being, distracted by other things, because there wasn't any television, and somehow I didn't even want to use my phone. I don't know if it was the location, if it was the, water surrounding the island. But the transformation that happened to me was that I went to myself and start talking to myself because when I was a child, I used to talk with myself. I still do, but not that much. I used to talk with myself and talk about ideas and things I wanted to do. And I felt in Ireland that feeling came back to me, just because I was all alone. As I told them, my friend was there, but we were doing our own things. So for me, having that moment, that time was amazing. The book in English came out about a month ago. So right now the book publishing place is closed, so I cannot give you as much as information, because I have to contact them and ask them which other places you can get the book. But the Swedish version came last year in October. So I had the release party, and I was very excited because all of the people who knew me were there also. And I also invited Friedrich, but he wasn't in Sweden at the moment with his family, so he couldn't attend the release party. But the Swedish version came last year, and English at the beginning of the summer. Yeah. I feel great. I mean, achieving and just doing a project, because many people starts a project, but not anyone finishes a project. So for me, it feels fantastic, and I'm very happy, and I'm ready to go back to Ireland actually, because I have some other ideas, to be honest. Yeah. Reconnect with yourself, I can say. Yeah. Try to reconnect. Think about yourself, and the island, I think, is a great place to be at if people have the opportunity to try it, because reconnecting with nature, with yourself, and to be disconnected from the social media and the world around you, even if it's a week or some days, will do a huge thing.
Next up is Gary Linehan, and I have a personal connection with Gary because, like I explained in the video, I had a crazy car accident that happened when I first met with Human Garage, and he has a crazy story how he's the $0 to $50 million business building guy, and he had multiple businesses, and his health was failing due to certain circumstances, and through that pushed him to find balance in connecting his health, finding his healing, and connecting that with his business. And Human Garage was born out of that. So he shares his story and talks about the philosophies of Human Garage. The philosophy, which is fashion maneuvers, and Human Garage is the vehicle through which he shares the philosophy of Human Garage. And I myself, Sam Chimes, definitely approve, and I've been through Human Garage myself, and I was able to find healing like way faster than I would have if I hadn't found Human Garage at the right time.
Human Garage is a movement. Fascial maneuvers is a philosophy of how to help the body heal and move the body. Human Garage is a movement of getting fascial maneuvers out, and that's already done. So there's nothing on the planet that could stop it right now. Right now, we just hit a turning point where basically we're roughly about 15% of the natural health conversation anywhere on the planet in 80 countries. So it's at that standpoint. That's why I said we're at a point where it's in culture now. It's being taught in schools. It's being taught to kids. It's being taught to relieve trauma and stress. And since it's already being taught to kids, that's the end goal, because that makes sure that it survives through whatever happens to us. Money has nothing to do with wealth. Money is death. Yes, absolutely. That's what it is. It measures the amount of time that humans live to produce it. There's over 20 million people around the world doing it weekly right now.
Amazing. I've noticed the numbers on social media.
And
Thank for sure.
yeah, the social media isn't even close to the comparison, because it's our offline movement. It's doctors and practitioners and coaches and health coaches and trauma coaches and hospitals and all that implementing the work through, because it's really a manual process. Once you learn it, you don't go back and do it. Although you look at it once and you share it thousands of times, right? Cool.
Like with my car accident, that was my biggest thing, right? With the car accident, and then on top of that, for me, learning the fascia philosophy and just getting a self-awareness anyway, right? So before my accident, I didn't understand that I could twist here and pop my hip, you know what I'm saying? So just gaining that awareness. And I think I saw a video of yours where you were talking about, I think someone asked a question about, as a practitioner, do I need to learn everything? Do I have to learn the whole manual? And you said, no, you don't need to learn everything. There's way too much, right? So it's about learning the formula, learning the formula, and then going from there, and that will lead and guide you. I quite like that. It's quite intuitive. It's about self-empowerment. Yeah, I quite like that about Human Garage.
It's a philosophy. It's a philosophy of how the body works and how to work with it. And it's a new understanding or new understanding, because we have been understanding for years what we've been told without having an understanding of what that really means. Yeah. And people know so much in their head about the human experience,
Right.
and very little in their experience. So they've learned the experience through their head or through their thoughts without having much of an experience. Like you're going around the world and having an experience, which is really cool. Most people are writing about it, talking about it, thinking about it, but not doing it. There's a difference between you and a lot of other people. There is no practitioner on the planet Earth that can heal somebody.
Mm-hmm.
There's no medication that can heal you. The body naturally has healing mechanisms built in, and they've been disabled by our current belief systems and the current way of approaching the human body. So it's really simply, you are meant to heal. And what's stopping us is the rules and understanding of what the body is today and how it works. It wasn't an event or a thing. It was a combination of events in my life where 35 years ago, I was an athlete. And well, even before that, if we go back 42 years ago, I got injured, and that's where it started off. I literally got kicked in the balls by a woman or girl. And that started a series of lower back issues that culminated into a professional issue as a bodybuilder, and falling under a squat, which then put me in a pain cycle, and 20 years of trying to resolve chronic pain in my own body. Chronic pain was, like a 2 to a 4 for a lot of years. I could work with it. I could just work out. It wasn't that bad. I got over it. Like, it's not that bad. I can keep moving forward. That was the the general thought. Fast forward another decade later, and it was like, now it's a 4 to 6, and sometimes up to a 9. And it's starting to impact my daily life and function. During that time, I'd gone to practitioners, always from chiropractics to naturopathic to holistic healers to ART specialists to everything you can imagine at that time. And as it got worse, and as I grew in my business world, I had a fair amount of money, so I was spending my money trying to resolve the problem with money. So I'd spent about $2.5 million over 20 years trying to resolve something. And I had a turning point when I had a disagreement with the US government on encryption or rights to privacy. And I was a whistleblower in 2005, and I came out on the US government. They detained me for 27 months and held me as a terrorist. And in that period of time, my 4 to 6 to 9 pain became a 7, 8, 9 pain 24/7. And when I was released and we finally went our separate ways, that put me in a cycle back into this world with at that time no money anymore, because my business, which was hundreds of millions of dollars, was destroyed, but I'm left with the pain in my body. So started Human Garage, taking a practitioner that had helped me get out of pain. And actually it was the Rubenstein Center. Took a practitioner who had no business acumen and used my business skill to help market them and build the Rubenstein Center. When that therapy that had helped me stopped working, I wanted to bring in other modalities. And that practitioner, that PhD, didn't want to. So that's where we split. And I started the Human Garage with at that time with one person and my ex-wife. And we started bringing practitioners around us to try and figure out this problem with the body, because I'd been to every form of medicine, every form of care. I'd spent 20 years learning alongside these people, paying them a lot of money, and nothing was working. So I figured if I could understand what they knew about the body, maybe I can understand why it didn't work for me. I just didn't believe that I was unfixable. So that's how Human Garage started. It was literally defensive mechanism. I needed therapy. I knew I needed it 3 to 5 to 7 times a week. And there's no way I could live my life and go out and have a business life and still get therapy, 3 to 5 to 7 times a week. Those two worlds didn't exist. So I had to combine them and turn my need for therapy into a business. And that's how it started. And it grew over the course of 7 years into the largest multidiscipline practice on the planet in California, where we had every form of therapy coming in, everything from a rabbi who blew smoke on you to a functional medicine doctor, psychiatrist, cardiologist, to body workers and energy healers and all that, working with one common belief system around this part of the body that we call fascia. And that came to a sharp and abrupt end in 2019 when I had a vision that the problem wasn't the therapies, the problem was the way that all those things are interacting with us. I realized that you can't fix somebody who thinks they're broken. And I identified as being broken. And so the only way to fix me was to stop identifying with being broken, which means I had to stop going to other people, telling them I'm broken, needing to get fixed. So that was the beginning of the journey of what's now Fascial Maneuvers, which is a self-care program which you can do yourself, which you've experienced.
The lockdown.
Hold on a second. There were lockdowns?
They were locked down. Some people
I don't remember being locked down. Do you remember being locked down?
I mean, I was doing my thing.
There you go. I mean, so a lockdown is only a lockdown if I agree to it, like electronically. You can't lock. You can put concrete over grass, but grass will go through the concrete. Yeah. So, and the only way that grass doesn't go through the concrete is unless it dies or doesn't want to. Yeah. So I didn't see it as a lockdown, but during that period of time, other people did. So it was the first time in my life since I was 9 years old I didn't work. So it gave me a chance to have reflection and healing. So it was really about me healing me. So during that period of time, and part of it was, I had this insane desire to solve this problem in the human body. And for once I couldn't do anything about it. So if I couldn't do anything about it, I'm like, okay, well, it's like I'm snowed in. I'll just take care of me. I'll figure it out. So that's what I did during the lockdown is I self-reflected. And I had two other people to do it with, Jason and Cynthia. I was looking to learn how to, at the time, to trust the flow because I had built my world around rules and logic, controlling everything. I, built companies my whole life. $0 to $50 million was my specialty. And all of a sudden I'm in a spot where I'm now having to believe that things are going to be okay, not have a forecast and have a backup plan and have a backup plan to the backup plan.
Yeah. That can be a very shifting and scary thing to a structured business mind, right?
Yeah, it was scary. Yeah, it was not just scary. It was like terror because I built my whole world around understanding the parameters in which I lived in and being able to control them. And all of a sudden I couldn't control the external parameters around me. I believe everybody in this next couple of years is going to come to that same, I always say come to Jesus, but they're all going to come to that same conclusion. They're going to have to face it. That's part of what this journey is about right now. The only thing you can do with a shifting landscape is to make sure that you're good, because what comes through this is opportunity. This is arbitrage, and arbitrage comes the greatest opportunities in life. But to have an opportunity, I have to be present, because if I'm unstressed, I only see the job of stress is to narrow the focus of an individual and to one solution. Eventually, stress unhandled becomes suicide, because I only see one solution is I can't be here anymore. And so the idea is to keep the body out of stress by doing something on a daily basis that takes the body and heals it or helps it remove the stress. Making sure that they're in nature, taking care of themselves. So when the opportunity to move and change comes, they're able to see it and capitalize on it. That's the one thing that people can do. There's nothing else we can do. We can't control what's being put in the skies. We can't control what's being put in our food. We can control a little bit of it, but for the most part, it comes down to self-care. If I take care of me, when I need to do something, I'll know what to do. If I don't take care of me, when I need to do something, I'm going to turn to somebody else to tell me what to do.
I like that. It's like, it's that, what do I say? It's like this, it's the same spirit of, I'll say the same spirit of Human Garage. It's like, here's the philosophy, the body heals itself, right? So if you can just get in alignment, and when the time comes, and I can definitely attest to that. My own personal testimony is I went to South Korea. October 2nd was my flight. And months before, I just had this thought or feeling or intuition. I just know this feeling or the thought when it's pretty likely to happen.
And it was that I was going to travel again with more than just myself. And I went with 4 other artists. And on October 1st, the day before my flight, all COVID restrictions was erased for travel. I'm like, no way I could have known that, you know, but it all worked out.
Well, it's learning to feel our way through the world. And the reason we don't feel our way through the world anymore is because our body's in stress. If my body's in stress, my inside world is stressed. So that means my outside world presents stressful situations. Right. So if I take the stress out of my body on a daily basis, and you know, one of the ways, there's ways to do it, connecting with nature. Another way to do it is with music, what you're doing, by the harmony, the harmonic frequency of singing on a regular basis releases oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine. This is partly why you're so chill and so cool, because even a lot of recording artists don't sing every day. Like you sing daily, which is very different than a lot of recording artists that go sing at these blocks of time, wear themselves out, and then they don't sing. It's like, for example, if I have a job over here and then I have to go over here, I make money to go take care of myself over here, eventually that fails. And that's why most recording artists, in my opinion, because a lot of them are some of the top in the world are my personal clients. That's why they fail at the end. And the difference that I see with you is you're living this life of helping people through music, and you're doing it every day. So that is a practice. It's not an art necessarily. You turn your art into a practice. And that's where true health comes from. Sam, it was great talking to you. It's interesting to watch your journey. I'm sure at some point this interview is going to be able to, let's say, just draw some eyes to you. And I'm happy to do that.
I appreciate
you played at our first Christmas party.
Yes.
We'll have to have it come back and play at another one sometime in one of our resorts.
That'd be so beautiful. And you know, I'll come back in a whole elevated level.
I can guarantee that. I can see the white light around you. It's really, really nice to see.
All right. It's time for some grocery shopping. Let's go. All right. I got my groceries. Ready to get onto this island and go cook some good home-cooked meal. It's been a long 2 days on the bus. It's been good on the bus though. I kind of like it being quiet. Lots of time. Sent some emails out to some venues over in Paris. And we'll be following up with them. Hopefully they can get back to me and we can book some shows.
In 300 meters, continue straight onto Hiller's Jonas Bay.
All right, I just arrived. It's super dark, so you'll see it in the morning. Oh yeah. Wow. It is dark out here, but I just gotta say it's amazing to be out here again. I'm right now in the middle of the water. Just rolling my way over to the island. Like I said, we'll see more in the daytime. You can hear some music in the background. That sounds so dope. Wish I knew what that was. I'd love to be DJing that. Anyway, I'm gonna get over now. I'm hungry. Ideas Island, yo. I mean, we'll see more in the daytime, but that's my boat for the week. Everybody's got this going on. So awesome. Oh yeah, we got them groceries. Woo! It's time to eat some. Yeah. All right. So here we are in Ideas Island, where I'm in the cabin,
And when you come in, coming through those sliding doors there, actually all these doors all slide open. And oh my God, it's so beautiful. I noticed actually that they've turned this table another way, which makes more sense, right? Got a little dining section. All right, got yourself some chandeliers. Okay. Oh yeah, this is the place where I remember I sat right here. This was 5 years ago. Sat right here, made an instrumental. Sat right here. Did that artist killing the living interview sessions. Yes, sir. Back in Ideas Island, baby. Back in Ideas Island. Man, this is a beautiful spot, like even cinematic. Look at that. Woo! Got a little party in here. But this is not a party place. This is a place to get away, to do nothing, let creativity flow. For me, I'm documenting transformations. I'm documenting my transformation. I already started writing some things. My goodness, I've already written like a little, probably 5 pages worth already. But anyway, what we got here? This is your living room. All right, hey, look, it's Frederick. Frederick Herring himself. Yeah, that's beautiful. I never noticed this before, but got a little fireplace down here. Yeah, this is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. And then there was a book that one of the guys who I interviewed, he told me about. I'm gonna have to find it. I'm sure I'll find it somewhere. Anyway, when I find it, I'll show you. All right. Well, that's it for now. I'm gonna shower. Maybe I'll shower in the lake. I don't know. Wherever, whatever. I'm gonna clean up and get eaten, and then just, you know, zone out, vibe out, take a moment to just be grateful to the universe for bringing me here again. Last time I was in this room, laying down. Let's go check it out together. The first time we've seen this. I'm gonna take my shoes off here. Do it the Canadian style. I think I was in one of these rooms. Yeah. So here's a room. That's where I slept. Got yourself some more. Got some sheets. This is nice. Oh, good. It's good. Towels and everything. Oh. This is great for an Airbnb. It's actually up on Airbnb. So if you want to come and stay outside of the project time, you definitely can. Yeah. 1, 2, 3 rooms, I believe. Oh, look, bunk bed. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 beds. And you got your living room, really. You can sleep there if you wanted. In the morning, we'll go check out the outside. Oh, yeah, you got yourself some cups and whatnot. Some books. The idea book. Woo! Business books of all time. What? 150 pages about ideas. 150 empty pages for your own ideas. An idea book. Yo, this is Ideas Island, y'all. This is Ideas Island. Wow. What is this? Dang, look at that. The grass is greener on your own side. Wisdom. Come on now. About squeezle and other words. What? All right. All right. Yes. That's it. What? Frederick has a book. One World, One Company. Wow. And he's the author of the idea book, included in the 100 best business books of all time. Frederick, I didn't know this. This is cool, man. Wow. Now that's amazing. I'm actually excited to interview Frederick as well. So this is Frederick's book. Guys, you could do it. You can do it. Last time I came, I didn't really take time to check these books. The Universe Has Your Back. Gabrielle Bernstein. Wow. Transform Fear to Faith. Wow. Wow. This is cool. I almost just want to just chill and just read all this stuff. Anyway, I gotta stop this video. Okay, well, there you have it. Ideas Island. Freaking amazing. All right, drone day. Took the baby out, the DJI Spark, and we went over there. It was so nice. The sun actually finally came out.
And yeah, this baby went all the way up and got some good shots, some moving shots. I caught the Swedish flag over there, and did like a little pen and shot into this place here. It was gorgeous. It really looked nice. So I'm currently uploading to the online folder, and then I'm gonna post it up on Instagram so people can see. But I'm super proud of this. Something crazy happened though. I got the second battery in because the first one was dead and got a lot of shots with that. But second battery, I gotta figure like how much time it requires or how much time the battery stays alive. But I went all the way up. I went in around just here, and oh my god. Then the low battery signal started going. I just tried to get one last shot, just coming in to see the boats, right? So coming in over the boat and then seeing the cabin. And he got in, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, return home. So I hit return home. I forgot that when it says return home and I choose that, it takes it up like 50 meters or something and then goes home. Now, I don't know if you can see, but there's lots of trees over here, and this thing went right through the leaves. Boy, I was kind of freaked out. And then on top of that, then I lost signal. I got the generator going, so I couldn't even hear the drone. Oh man, I freaked out in my heart, in my mind for half a second. And I guess the thing went all the way up, and then it lost signal, and I was trying to find it, trying to move it. The video on my phone froze as well. And anyway, thank goodness it kind of went over here, and then it was going down towards the water. I was like, oh boy, what's going on here? Finally, I walked close and under it, and it started coming down, and yeah, it's here. Crazy. Anyway, so yeah, that's that. Be careful with your drone. Heed the warnings. That's my message.